Holden Caulfield, what if I told you that the song coming through the rye wasn't about saving children, and that it was instead about sexual intercourse? Also, Stradlater most likely had sex with Jane, even though he barely knew her name. Now, here's your choice. Take the blue pill, and you'll wake up in your bed tomorrow and continue to live a lie, pretending that Jane still keeps all her kings in the back row, and that the song you base your ideal career pathway on isn't actually a vocal representation of one of your greatest fears. Or you can take the red pill, and you can stay in Wonderland. Wait, what are you doing? Taking the blue pill? Hello, Mr. Chung's third period class. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite books of all time, The Catcher in the Rye. Not only is this book a very accurate representation of how teenagers act, it is also amazing because it is one of the best books I've ever seen where nothing of consequence really happens. The book follows Holden Caulfield as he gets kicked out of Pensy High School and walks around New York for a while and meets some people. Honestly, if it weren't for one or two brief moments, this story could have happened to anyone. However, this is what makes Catcher so great. It is one of the most relatable books with one of the most relatable characters. Overall, the main protagonist, Holden, is not likable. He lies, he fills his stories with slang and repetitive language, and he can be sometimes downright annoying. However, this is what makes him real. He's far from perfect, unlike many modern protagonists. And as we progress through the decades, we see that Holden's character is timeless, being just as relatable today as he was 50 years ago. This is because Holden struggles with something every person struggles with in their lifetime, growing up. At some point in our lives, we evolve from the innocent child that was born into this world into a woke adult, aware of how cruel and punishing the real world can be. This transition can make one feel alone and alienated, and we see this presented no better than in Holden, as he is not only figuratively alone, but literally alone, wandering the streets of New York, bouncing from phony to phony, simply seeking wisdom on where the ducks go in the wintertime. It's at this moment in his life that Holden is becoming an adult. However, it is not at this moment that he lost his innocence, as that unfortunately had happened years before. As he hints at a troubling childhood filled with death, absentee parents, and a man who may have gotten a little too close to young Holden. This is why Holden seeks to preserve innocence in others as well as himself, or at least what innocence he has left. Despite the death of his brother and the possible sexual advances of a trusted adult, Holden has never given anyone the time, and in that he holds on to the smallest piece of innocence he has left. However, as he is a teenager, he has desires and urges just like anyone. But what he knows about sex is limited to what he has experienced from his childhood, and thus the idea of intercourse is a frightening one. So frightening that even when confronted with the opportunity to sleep with a prostitute, he pays her to not have sex with him. However, he desires to do more than preserve his own innocence. He also seeks to stop time altogether and preserve all that are young and innocent as they are. This desire is evident in his love for the eternal nature of the museum, and how everything stays right where they are. This desire is also what gives the book its title, as Holden mishears a common folk song and mistakes it as a song about a catcher in the rye, a made-up hero who saves young children from the harsh cruelties of the world. In a way, Holden is attempting to preserve innocence through ignorance, just as a mother may cover the ears of her child while an explicit rap song plays in the radio of a nearby car. This isn't very different from Daisy's wishes with her daughter in The Great Gatsby, saying that the best thing a girl can be is a beautiful little fool, sheltered from the problems of life, such as a cheating husband in the case of Gatsby, or in the case of Catcher, the entire adult world. It is not until the end of the book that this mentality is broken, as he watches the pinnacle of innocence and all that he wishes to protect, ride a carousel and reach for the gold ring, a game popular for carousels in the 1950s that involved reaching for a gold ring in exchange for prizes, however at the risk of falling off. It is upon witnessing this that Holden realizes that growing up is a part of life, and there's no way to stop that process, quoted here saying that, "The thing with kids is, if they want to grab for the gold ring, you have to let them do it, and not say anything. If they fall off, but it is bad to say anything to them." Here Holden comes to the conclusion that there's no need for a catcher in the rye, and it is upon this realization that kids who are growing up don't need protecting that he's truly happy. Because he knows that if sweet, innocent Phoebe will be okay in the adult world, he will be too. And when Phoebe puts the red hunting cap on her brother, he knows everything is going to end up alright.